Exhausted after a crowded train ride, Eleanor entered her usual subway station, a heavy sigh escaping her lips. Every seat along the center path was occupied, making it challenging to navigate with her very pregnant belly. Just as discouragement began to settle in, a voice cut through the din. "Miss," a friendly voice called from behind. Eleanor turned to see a kind-faced man standing beside an empty seat. He gestured to it, understanding her need better than words could express. With a surge of gratitude that almost overshadowed her fatigue, Eleanor sank into the offered seat, watching the considerate man disappear into the subway crowd. The rhythmic thump Eleanor felt wasn't the usual subway rumble. It was the person behind her repeatedly slamming their back against the seat. Turning in annoyance, Eleanor saw not a teenager as she had expected, but a grown woman. Before Eleanor could address it, something else caught her eye. The woman was holding her phone at an awkward angle, clearly aimed at something Eleanor couldn't see. Curiosity piqued, Eleanor leaned in discreetly, observing the frozen image on the woman's screen. A jolt of recognition shot through her. It was the kind man who'd offered her his seat, his face filling the frame. A caption, chillingly clear even from a distance, read, "Wanted, this man, fugitive, local manhunt." The friendly face suddenly morphed into a dangerous one, the words on the screen painting a terrifying picture. The man was a criminal on the run. Heart pounding, Eleanor scanned the swaying train for the hooded figure who'd given up his seat. Stuck on the single train since entering, he had to be nearby. Relief washed over her as she spotted him towards the end of the carriage. Just then, the conductor's voice boomed through the intercom. Her stop was next. Eleanor needed to get out. The remaining walk home was a familiar comfort. As she hurried out, she felt a prickle of unease. He was looking back, his gaze sharp through the throng of people. Their eyes locked for a fleeting moment, a cold spark passing between them. Eleanor quickened her pace, but with each step she took, so did he. Panic clawed at her throat. This couldn't be happening. Reaching the street, Eleanor knew a 10-minute walk separated her from safety. Rounding the corner, a desperate glance back confirmed her fear. There he was, a chilling 30 feet behind. Taking a deep breath, she bolted, adrenaline surging, pushing her tired limbs to their limit. Finally, her haven came into view. Fumbling with her keys, she slammed the door shut, a barricade against the unknown. Peeking through the peephole, her heart hammered a frantic rhythm. Relief flooded her momentarily. He was gone, but a knot of unease remained. This wasn't over. The respite was short-lived. An hour later, just as Eleanor began to relax in her favorite chair, the insistent blare of the doorbell shattered the fragile calm. Peeking through the people, she saw two figures in uniform. Relief turned to confusion as she cautiously opened the door. Without a word, the officers pushed past her, their expressions grim. "Marcel Williams," one of them barked. "The fugitive?" Eleanor's heart hammered against her ribs. "There's no one here," she stammered. "Just me. I don't know anything about any criminals." Her pleas fell on deaf ears. For the next 30 minutes, her home was turned upside down in a whirlwind of official intrusion. Every drawer, every closet, every nook and cranny was scrutinized. Deflated, Eleanor watched as the officers finally left, leaving behind a trail of displaced belongings. The silence was heavy, punctuated only by her ragged breaths. But just as a sliver of peace threatened to bloom, the doorbell shrilled once more. A sigh escaped Eleanor's lips. The officers must have forgotten something. This time, propelled by exhaustion more than caution, she flung the door open. A fatal mistake. The man she'd so desperately outrun stood on her doorstep, his face devoid of the kindness that had masked his true nature just hours before. A strangled scream died in Eleanor's throat as she met the hooded man's gaze. Fear choked her, but before she could react, a frantic whisper cut through the tension. "Please," Marcel pleaded, his voice low and urgent. "Don't scream. Stay quiet." Are the police gone? Exhaustion and terror warred within Eleanor. Trapped, she could only nod numbly. Marcel's eyes darted around, then back to her. "May I come in?" he asked, his tone surprisingly polite. Hesitantly, Eleanor stepped aside, the door swinging wide to reveal the chaos the officers had left behind. "Miss," Marcel continued, his voice laced with a strange calmness, "may I see your bag?" Eleanor, her mind a whirlwind, could only gesture toward the table. He moved with practiced ease, retrieving a phone she didn't recognize. "Mine," he declared, holding it aloft. "An inconvenience," I apologize." His composure was unnerving. "How?" Eleanor stammered, her voice barely a whisper. "Must have slipped from my pocket," Marcel explained smoothly. "When I gave you my seat." The words hung heavy in the air, a chilling explanation for the events that had unfolded. Marcel's explanation tumbled out in a desperate rush. He had followed her only to get his phone back, the one that fell during his friendly act. The sight of the police during his pursuit forced him to hide. "They must have been tracking it," he rasped. "That's how they found you." His eyes pleaded with hers. "Are you going to turn me in?" A sigh escaped his lips. "Look, I'm not a criminal. Wrong place, wrong time. I was just texting my niece in my car parked across from the bank when 3 robbers came bursting out." He described the terror, the gunpoint holdup, a nightmare unfolding before him. The real criminals were caught, but during interrogation, they pinned the blame on him, an innocent bystander. The police, swayed by their lies, had been hunting him ever since. His phone held proof: text messages with his niece, selfies in his car at the exact robbery time. Why not show the police? Eleanor's voice held a tremor of disbelief. Marcel's face hardened. "Fair trial? Not a chance. They plastered my face everywhere, branded a criminal." By the time I could explain, it was too late. Eleanor's heart ached for him, this innocent man hounded by a cruel twist of fate. Her gaze steeled with determination. "I can help. My uncle's a lawyer. He'll know what to do." The urgency in Marcel's eyes spurred Eleanor into action. Grabbing the phone, she dialed her uncle's number. Within a couple of hours, he stood at her doorstep, confusion etched on his face. One look at Marcel, however, and that confusion morphed into shock. A silent conversation seemed to pass between them, a shared history adding weight to the tension in the room. Eleanor, sensing her uncle's apprehension, calmed him with a reassuring touch and launched into a breathless explanation, Marcel filling in the gaps. Thankfully, her uncle, a seasoned lawyer, saw the truth in their story. He gently convinced Marcel that surrendering was the best course of action, and with newfound hope, Marcel agreed. The following days were a whirlwind. Marcel was arrested, but his trial came swiftly. The evidence on his phone, the text messages, and the timestamped selfies was undeniable. With Eleanor's uncle acting as his defense and the truth laid bare, Marcel was found innocent in no time. His name was cleared. The media was forced to retract their accusations, and the police faced repercussions for their negligence. Eleanor's heart soared with relief. A few months later, they found themselves celebrating Marcel's freedom at a joyous birthday party, a testament to the power of believing in someone's innocence. What do you think of this story? Let us know in the comments section. I hope you liked this video. Please give it a thumbs up and share it with your loved ones. I'll subscribe and press the bell icon to never miss the update from our channel. Thank you.